one of the things that when you're going through any kind of change is the communication piece of it. And we are going through a transformation. And quite frankly, from a command group level, we started this probably a year and a half ago. It was the November of 10 at our first offsite that General Rogers was the CG. We started talking about transformation, and we're just now to the point where we're starting to put some things in place. The problem is getting the word out. Okay, the problem is making sure everybody's aware of that. And as I walk the halls and I talk to people, I find out that yeah, my senior leaders know what I'm talking about, but the folks that are important, which is you and the ones down in the lower part of the workforce, are really going to have to make this thing happen, don't know. And so that's why I wanted to come today, and I wanted to just talk to you all a little bit about what's going on and kind of piggyback on the Carla's pitch here. You've read the paper, you've seen the news, you know that we are in a declining resource environment. That is, and if anybody's surprised at that, you need to wake up, because that's just the reality of the situation. You know, last year that we went through a divestiture at AMCOM of 272 positions. In other words, AMC came down and said, you've got to go find, actually it was more than 272. I'll get to that in a minute. It was more than 272. They said, you've got to get rid of X amount of positions. Because we had started on this probably a year before in terms of laying the groundwork, I was able to go in, we were able to go in and say, map every one of you that are OMA funded to, to the funding and to a core capability or competency that we believe is important, whether it's readiness or calibration or for military sales, but something that's important to the command. Every one of the folks that are in OMA, they're OMA funded, are now mapped to that. That did not exist a year and a half ago. We were woefully behind in terms of understanding the as-is of what everybody even did. And that was a product of probably the war and being fat, dumb, and happy, having all the money we needed and that kind of. We just got a little complacent. So we started that process, and so we went through the 272 divestiture, which, like I said, was actually more than that. The CG was able to go into AMC and say, you know what, here's what you told us your bogey was. They just did a salami slice. If you do that to me, then here's what's going to happen. I can do this much and minimize the risk, but if you go further, then we're going to get into some serious issues. Grounded helicopters in theater, not be able to shoot Patriot radars, not be able to operate. You know, we're not going to be able to calibrate some things, and so instead of a unit getting their tools back in 30 days, if they're in a fight, it's going to be 60 days. We were able to get that to fidelity, and the headquarters came back and said, you know what, you're right. We don't need to take all those slots. And I tell you that because that's the environment that we're in right now. That's what the CG and I are living in every day, and there's going to be more coming. And so when we talk about transformation, we're asking people to look at things a little differently. So after that drill, we went through and looked at our whole FY11 program and all the money we spent. And in FY11, we spent about $6.5 billion. 16% of that, or roughly $900 million, was on people. Okay, 16%. So there was 84% that was other stuff. It was the parts for our systems. It was the OMA reset. It was IT support. It was our IT hardware. It was calibration. But those were our programs. And so we are on a mission right now to how do I reduce to 84%? Okay, because and are there any budgeteers in here, any RM folks? Oh, good, I can talk. No, I guess I can't because Grant's filming it. But what the budget folks want to do at the DA level and at the AMC level, and this is just the way they're trained, they're not bad people, but they automatically want to go to the people. If there's a reduction, they go in and they got this model that says if you reduce X amount of people, it'll save you X, times $3 with benefits and all that kind of stuff. What I'm trying to do, what CG's put in place, is we're trying to attack the 84%. So if I bought $3.5 billion worth of parts last year, I've got the EMIC right now, some of you are probably involved in that. There's 17 IPTs that we have going. I want to do things smarter where maybe I only have to buy $2 billion worth of parts. If it costs me $1 million each to reset a helicopter, okay? We've told the reset folks we want to figure out how we can reset a helicopter at something less than that, 30% less than that. And so what I want to be able to do is when AMC or DA comes down and says, you're going to take X amount of reduction, I'm going to say, let it stop. Tell me how much money you want. Tell me what in-depth it is, what category it's in, and what year you need it, and you let me go decide how I'm going to do that, and not automatically take my people. Okay? Now we're going to lose some people. We're going to lose some slots. I should say that. We're going to lose slots. But if you let me do it this way, then I can manage the attrition of the workforce, because there are people who want to retire, there's people with the early outs, we have some vacancies. I can manage that if you let me take a balanced approach. Now here's the kicker, and here's why I'm here talking to you. I can't do that by myself. I can only do that if you all are helping me. Okay? I mean, you are the ones that have the good ideas. I do not know your business like you do. And so using the EMIC as an example, we've got this new thing called LMP, and I know that was a four-letter word for a long time, and I joked that the three-year deployment of LMP was the longest 10 years of my career. And it doesn't stand for lost my parts, as a lot of people think. But we are now, after 3 years of deploying LMP, starting to kind of believe what we're seeing, some of the numbers. I believe that technology is going to help us. It's smarter. I have visibility into things that I didn't have visibility into before, okay? But I have to have the smart people that know it. I don't know how to do that. I joke, and Josh is the only one that gets this joke, is I don't know how to program a VCR. But you know, you all understand technology a lot better than I do. And I need you to say, you know what? If we go do this and this and this, I can save this and this and this, and I want you to feel comfortable that you have the opportunity to do that. And that's why we set up the website. That's why we're doing the things that we're doing. We want to encourage you to offer your ideas. And then when you have those ideas and then we run them to ground, there has to be a so what. It has to be, it's going to save, really going to save this much money in this area and this year. And then I'll take that, and that'll help me go fight the fight that I need to fight to keep us operating, keep our, our mission capable, and not just get ourselves to the point where we're subjected to the salami slice. Because here's what happens if you don't do that. If you don't help me, they're going to come in with a machete and they're just going to start whacking people. That's just the reality of the situation. Okay? So that's why Carla's coming around and talking to you, and that's why I wanted to come talk to you, to tell you that's where we're headed. And this is not the only group I've talked to. It's not the only group I'm going to talk to. I want you to feel comfortable. And if you feel like there's a roadblock, then you need to go find somebody, me, Carla, somebody in the SIG. If you feel like you're not being heard, then there's a way to go and to work that. Okay? I need your ideas on how to do things smart. Chris Carlisle is a commander out at Corpus Christi. Corpus Christi, probably 15 years ago, was one of the worst depots in the history of the Army in terms of efficiency. They are now considered the leader from a how to operate like a business perspective in the depot world in the Army right now. It's because of LMP. But it's because Chris has gone out and taken the technology and said, here it is, and he started these leading change teams. I think he started with a couple, and that led to 6, and then that led to 15, and I don't know how many, 70-something teams. He's not even doing it now. It's people out that work out there are forming these teams, and they're within a certain constraints. They're allowed to just go make changes. They're allowed just to go do things that make sense and are common sense. So he's done a third more work. In 11, he did a third more work than he did in 10. He did it at a third less the price, and he eliminated the need for 200 vacant positions. Okay? And we can actually articulate that and show that, no kidding, what the savings was. Right? So the key to that is his workforce was the one who caught on. They're the ones who grabbed this thing. It's not a Chris Carlisle or Bill Brady thing. It is a Corpus Christi workforce thing. And I need you to help me with that as well. How successful we are will be determined by your level of involvement and whether or not you buy into this or not. Okay? So I need your help. And you're in a LIFT class, Leadership Investment for Tomorrow. And I'll tell you something right now, you're going to be doing this probably for most of your career. You might as well, we've had 10 years of money You know, we've never, you know, this is the first time in a long time I can remember us talking about budget issues and that kind of thing. If this is the way it's going to be for the next, you know, as far as I can see. And how well we do in budgets is going to be a function of how well we can articulate the so what or the risk if I don't do anything. And I can't do that unless you help me. Okay? So I need your help. I wanted to kind of making a plea here for you to help me and to help the command. What we do is incredibly important. I don't want anybody to think that it's not. And I think people know that, even up the chain they know that. But the budget pressures are real. And sometimes people make decisions based on things other than what they should. It's my job. If somebody wants to cut a budget, that's fine, but I want them to do it consciously understanding the risk that they're taking. If you want to cut that, that's fine. That means I don't have X amount of airplanes able to fly to support a mission. Or I can't run a Patriot radar, or I can't calibrate your tools, or whatever the impact is. If I can't put it in those terms, we're not going to do well in this. You all have to be the ones to help me do that, and then you're going to be, as leaders, you're going to be the ones standing up here one day having this conversation with the lift class and telling them the same thing, okay? So I need you to reorient your minds in terms of where we've been and where we're going. My intent is not to scare you, it's just to provide you the reality of the situation. And this is the #1 priority next to the operational piece of this, and make sure our soldiers, who are still fighting, by the way, in theater, have parts and are able to sustain their systems. This is our #1 priority. We have to take care of ourselves. I think we're the only command doing this. I don't think any of my peers, I talked to them at TACON and CCON, I don't think they're taking this kind of approach. We're trying to get ahead of it. Okay, and so I need your help.